Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, having recently received its licence from the central bank, Dubai headquartered wealth management company GSB Capital now has its sights firmly set on the Irish market. But why was the Irish market such an attractive proposition? Well, Michael Cunningham, the Chief Executive of GSB Capital Ireland, joins us now to explain why. Michael, you might start the interview by introducing us to GSB Capital and the services which it provides.
Good morning, Karl. Pleasure to talk to you. Sure. Well, GSB Capital is a multi-service financial advisory, effectively, providing a range of wealth management services overseas. Here in Ireland, we've secured the Central Bank of Ireland licence, primarily in the retail space from a starting standpoint. So what we kind of work with people over here is in the pensions market, overall wealth planning, overall generational planning as well, when you have to do business planning from one generation to another. And overseas, there's a big office in London and a big office in Dubai, which are carrying out kind of professional level services as well as retail level services. But the roots of the business and the core of the business is retail financial planning. What
attracted you into the Irish market?
Ireland was very interesting for a number of reasons. It was interesting in and of itself. It's a platform into Europe. However, our actual core business goal at the moment is to establish ourselves in Ireland, grow our business, grow our range of services, grow our permissions, and just get a foothold over here and then look to expand somewhere in the future. But there's lots and lots of interesting things about Ireland. So the average wages have grown by huge amounts in the last 20 years. If you look down a list of the developed markets and growth of income, Ireland's very, very, very near the top. I think 40% growth in the last 20 years. So $52,000 average salary per person that was $37,000. Many other places in the developed markets have not grown by anywhere near as much. Secondly, there's a very kind of interesting and complex sort of local pensions market, which is the cornerstone of planning over here in Ireland, for your tax planning and for people's overall primary wealth vehicle, whether you're a low net worth investor or a high net worth investor. And there's all sorts of changes coming in there. So we just saw a position for ourselves to come in there and, offer something different, offer a new take on things.
The wealth management space is quite a competitive area here in Ireland. So how are you going to outcompete the competition?
I suppose it's also a case of, everybody can survive with some competition as well. But I think one of the kind of roots of the GSB business was, when it was started a number of years ago, the brand, which just sort of felt that, not the customer's not necessarily at the forefront of the planning all the time. It's kind of the business, what the business might need, what the providers might need. But we just felt that if everybody could kind of benefit equally and everybody could understand where they stood. So transparency and clarity is a big thing. If you were dealing with financial services providers 20, 30 years ago, a lot of customers weren't as informed as they are now. And even when customers are very, very informed about investments, what drives whatever vehicle they have, financial planning is quite an important thing for them. So I think there's a study out there that says something along the lines of, if you have financial advice, you're 60% better off than someone that doesn't. Irish people seem to be very receptive to financial advice as well. And I suppose it's probably a comparison of, if you have a personal trainer or you don't have a personal trainer, you probably would expect the person with a personal trainer to be in better shape than someone without it. So I think there's a room for everybody to kind of do their own thing, but our big things are transparency, clarity with the client, giving them simple, straightforward offerings, and just looking to treat them well and look after them.
How many new jobs will the opening of this office create here in Ireland?
We're looking to grow nice and steadily, so we don't want to kind of outpace ourselves too quickly. I think the overall goal was to kind of add 10 to 12 people before the end of 2025, and then sort of take things from there. Overseas, the brand itself has got quite a large number of employees now, I think 60 or 70 people. We're actually a new business, a new Irish business in Ireland, and we're going to grow kind of with the power of the brand, but kind of independently of the operation over there.
So did you consider other locations before choosing Ireland?
Yeah, we did. The brand itself looked at Switzerland, I believe, Liechtenstein and Luxembourg as well. The preference for Ireland kind of, it did sort of decide for itself in the end. as we said, probably the biggest goal, even ahead of European expansion, was Ireland expansion. So being in a market that had a really good local market, which Switzerland was also in the same position, but having a really, really good, interesting local market that's growing was the biggest factor. And I think English language legal system was huge as well. You can read and understand things and how to operate, and English language regulation really, really did help.
And I believe that GSB Capital currently has approximately €4 billion in advisory assets and almost €1 billion in assets under management. So how will the opening of the Irish office grow these values?
I think in the early stages we'll be a lot smaller over here, obviously. The initial provision and the initial licensing permission that we've sought to achieve and have achieved is in the retail space. Professional services is a growth area that we would be looking at further down the line, but this is actually in line with the roots of GSB business and how it's grown in the other markets as well. We see a good market within that retail space. If Ireland becomes a large office, we're open to it. If it remains a retail office, we're open to that as well. So I think it's getting a foothold in the market. We've just opened our doors. We're just hiring our team. It's very early days. We don't want to make, huge, bold kind of predictions on where to go. We want to stick to our knitting.
How are you going to go about growing the market here in Ireland, Michael?
Very interesting question. I think looking to kind of get that organic growth is the thing everybody's looking for these days. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of information about financial services, looking to be thought of as a good place to go. Looking to generate positive, natural kind of PR for yourselves, natural coverage for yourselves is a big thing. Obviously doing a little bit of marketing and advertising in the right spaces, looking to connect with the right professionals and the right businesses, and just a kind of a natural organic growth there.
And what type of client will GSB be looking to work with in Ireland?
I think any professionals of kind of 40 years old, 50 years old, it's an interesting time for planning in your lives, because there's a range of different pension vehicles with different ages of between 50 to 65. Different people have different needs. So the same individual with, a €300,000 pension pot who's 45 years old and his counterpart who's exactly the same, they might have completely different goals. So one of them might want to keep working till they're 70. One of them might want to exit as soon as possible when they're 50. So I think people from different industries all have very interesting backgrounds, and probably that kind of assets under management where somebody's, 200, 300,000 euros plus. That's kind of a bit of a sweet spot in the retail space. But you can also have very high income, low asset rich clients where, they're in that career drive phase, and the next sort of 10 years is an important period for them to, make large voluntary contributions into a pension. So I think pension holders, people around pension planning, is the big target market. And also there's a huge range of industries in Ireland. So I couldn't really pin it down to anyone in particular.
And Michael, you've been immersed in the wealth management space in the UAE since 2010. The UAE, and in particular Dubai, is perceived to be one of the world's wealthiest locations. So what was it like to provide wealth management services out there?
It's a very interesting market, the UAE. So there's a lot of very high net worth people who are very sort of cash rich. Whereas if you're from, even in the US or the UK or Australia, a lot of people have got a lot of assets in property or a lot of assets within pension structures, and potentially not a huge amount in cash actually. Whereas because it's a low tax jurisdiction, there's quite a lot of, here's all your money from the employers, go and do whatever you want with it yourselves. And there's also a lot of people who've retired over there who've sort of sold up from European jurisdictions. So it was definitely a very different market, but a very interesting market. But one of the things I've sort of learned about wealth management over the years is people are people, and a big thing is understanding what somebody really wants. And you can make connections with people from completely different backgrounds on just the personality level. And that's always kind of at the heart of this industry, is that, if you can really connect with a person, you're transparent with each other. There's a common ground to be had there, no matter where somebody's from.
And Michael, finally, from an overall growth perspective, whilst you have just got the central bank licence to operate here in Ireland and your focus in the short term is on the Irish market, talk to us about your plans in terms of passporting across Europe using that Irish licence to grow that business European-wide over the coming years.
I think that would be done on a strategic sort of basis. As the decision's been made to come to Ireland, probably one country at a time. The licensing permissions for insurance in particular allow passporting to lots of different countries. You've still got to abide by the local regulations, and in each country there's still not really a kind of common infrastructure around regulations. They're still very different in different countries. The entitlement to service people and passport into them is there, but you do have to understand the market and really take a bit of time before you move into them. And I think there's so much growth here in Ireland and so many different service provisions and things that we can add here that it's very much Irish-driven, Irish market-driven expansion at the moment and will remain so.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Michael Cunningham, the Chief Executive of GSB Capital Ireland, and we wish Michael and the team every success in growing its business in the Irish market.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.